Welcome back, everyone. It's been about a year since I've chatted with you all. But I would not miss, this yearly mock draft for the world. Whether I'm making videos regularly up to the draft, or I'm not doing anything in between, the year. This is probably the second time, I think, between draft videos. This is like the first video that's really been back on the channel, at least with me talking. I guess there was like a channel update video. And I might do one of those to explain, where I've been in the last year and what's going on. But today I just want to focus on football. We're gonna talk a little football. So we're just gonna jump right into it, and I'm gonna start this with a full disclosure and a disclaimer that I really have less of an idea of what's going on in this draft than I normally would. And that more pertains to, me just being busier than usual, if that wasn't evident by my lack of uploads. And that, I think that's okay when making a mock draft, because really no one has a great idea of, uh, of what players are going to end up being excellent pros. Um, when I did my most research, I said Justin Herbert was not going to be a good NFL quarterback. So, maybe this less knowledgeable approach will help my endeavors down the line. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But we're just gonna have some fun with this and see where it goes. So first overall, I am going to take Aiden Hutchinson to the Jaguars. Now, why I think this is good is the Jaguars need to go down this path of stability. There's been no stability in that organization for at least the past 5 years. Even with that Saxonville team, you could argue that there was no stability even. You get Doug Peterson, at least a stable head coach. You have Trevor Lawrence, who should be a stable starting quarterback for you. And then you take Aiden Hutchinson, who should be a stable player. Not the highest upside end in the draft. I think there are a couple guys more upside than him. But Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a very, very solid, probably top 20 in the league defensive end. Uh, while other guys in this draft, they could be top 10, they could be busts. And I think Jacksonville really needs that guy right now who's going to be top 20, whether regardless of how, their development pans out. So Aiden Hutchinson, I want to go number one. Number two for the Lions. Um, this is kind of a hot take, I feel like, and I really hate that his mock draft came out first before mine, because I was already thinking of this idea. But I want Malik Willis going to the Detroit Lions here at number two. The Lions are in a position this year, in my opinion, where they are going to win too many games with Jared Goff to get one of the big guys next year. Your Strouds, your Youngs, your guy who's going to come out of nowhere. I don't know who that is yet. Maybe it's Will Levis. I don't know the other guys on the top of my head. Levis would be the guy for me right now, who's the guy who comes out of nowhere. Those three guys, I think the Lions are going to be too good this year to get. I think they're going to play that well for Dan Campbell. I think Jared Goff and the new weapons they've received are going to be good enough to win them games. And I think they're going to finish with 6 or so wins. Maybe more, maybe 5. I don't know. So, let's make this team super good in the future. We're going to have Jared Goff start this entire year, and we're going to pick Malik Willis, who has this sky high potential. His potential is excellent. I'm going to learn from my mistakes here. Looking at guys like Josh Allen, who I was high on, granted. I think I had him going 2 overall. Looking at guys like Justin Herbert, a toolsy freak. Uh, I don't want to compare him directly to those two guys, but those are two guys people just completely hated on because they were missing things in their tape. but all of the tools were right there. Hell, look at Mahomes. Mahomes wasn't, his tape wasn't excellent, but he had the tools, and in the right system, with the right time to develop, he was, all these players turned into great quarterbacks. And I think if you do the same for Malik, I think that is very possible that he becomes one of the great next quarterbacks. And if he does turn into this, they have a chance to run the North for a while with an aging Rodgers, a Vikings team who's not going to have a quarterback soon and going to be stuck in this weird area of not being bad enough to get a top guy next year. They might just be stuck with Cousins for a while. I don't know. And then the Bears, who they're a hot mess. So I think this pick sets Detroit up very nicely for the future, and I'd be excited about this pick. Just explaining that a bit. So next for the Texans, we're going to come back down to earth a little bit. I'm going to take Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. The simulator is not lying. The Texans do need every position. And so I'm just going to take my favorite prospect here, who is Thibodeau. I think Thibodeau is the best player available on my board, and so I will select him there if I were the Texans. Whoever the Texans have is best on their board, regardless of position they should take. Moving on to the Jets. At number 4 overall, I see the Jets as a team who is more complete than I think a lot of people are seeing them. I think, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, they have a lot of very solid players everywhere. Not many superstars, but just looking at the line, if a healthy Carl Lawson and a Quinnen Williams, those are very solid players. If C.J. Mosley figures his shit out, he's a very solid player. The secondary, while not great, I wouldn't say many people on that secondary are completely horrible. And for that reason, I want to have Zach Wilson, my young quarterback, succeed as soon as possible. Because last year, I had higher hopes for Zach Wilson than what he showed, and I think we need to give him a little more. Now, offensive line is looking very solid with the acquisitions the Jets made this offseason. I like the tight ends they have acquired. So I want to add one more receiver to pair alongside Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and then I'm going to have Garrett Wilson as the 4th guy. So just an absolute deep, great receiving core for the Jets right there. Bunch of weapons for Zach Wilson. And then you can kind of tackle defense for the rest of the draft after this pick, to be honest. You could go some other ways on offense if you really wanted to, but you're just going to change those okay players from the defense to, oh yeah, those are good players now for the rest of the draft. The Giants, their offensive line stinks, so we're going to take my favorite offensive lineman in the draft, Evan Neal, to be their left tackle of the future. This is one of the most straightforward picks in this draft, and this makes the pick really easy for the Panthers. They need the other true tackle in the class. Evan Neal is the best true tackle. I think Charles Cross is the second best true tackle. Panthers also need a left tackle really bad, so they take Charles Cross there. The Giants, back on the clock. Another major need I see for them is edge. So this is where I'm going to have, who a lot of people are having the second overall pick, or the first overall pick being Travon Walker. I'm going to have him go to the Giants. While he does need to grow into, learning more of these pass rush moves and becoming a true pass rusher in the NFL, because they didn't really have him do that at Georgia. I think if he is able to tap into that potential, he does have that sky-high top 10 edge potential. And I think 7 is more of that range where you can definitely justify taking Walker. I wouldn't take him at 1. I think 7 is a perfect area for him. The Atlanta Falcons, they kind of stink right now. But the one position that really stinks more than the rest of them is receiver. We need to get Marcus Mariota any help other than Kyle Pitts because Calvin Ridley will not be playing this year. So the rest of those receivers are awful because Russell Gage is gone now as well. You do have Cordell Patterson, but he's mainly a running back. So I am going to take Jameson Williams out of Alabama and formerly Ohio State. So we technically have 2 Ohio State wide receivers going in the top 10. I know Jameson would not call himself an Ohio State Buckeye anymore. But I think just adding a really, really fast, good receiver to this Falcons offense is, indispensable. I just want to see what Mariota could do. I'm kind of excited to see this Falcons team play this year. I think they probably will stink. And, if and when they do stink, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis will be there at the helm for them next year. I think the Falcons are definitely one of those teams who can contend for him. The Seahawks up next. Their offensive line is also really bad. I could not tell you their starting tackles. I think Stone Forsythe is one of them. That is a problem. So we're going to take Ikem Ekwonu at 9th overall for Seattle. Pretty easy pick there, in my opinion, if one of the top 3 linemen are there. Now, the Jets here at number 10, we're going to go ahead and do what I said I would do, and we are going to bolster this defense. Now, I said I am actually pretty high on the Jets secondary, so we're not going to tackle that, at least now. I think in the second round you maybe could. I don't think the value is here for a linebacker yet, so that leaves the defensive line. My favorite pick here at defensive line, in my opinion, is going to be Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher out of Florida State. Carl Lawson, you cannot count on him to be healthy, and you need another edge next to John Franklin Myers. I believe that he would play edge for them. Either way, I think I'm thinking of the right guy. But we have Jermaine Johnson fitting here at 10. I think he's about a top 10 talent. I wouldn't call that a reach, even though PFF has him a little lower. But I like this range here for Johnson to go, and I like the Jets adding a very solid edge talent. So finally at number 11, we're going to have a corner go to Washington. William Jackson has been far from great. Kendall Fuller was a little underwhelming. Ben St. Juste, I think, is their slot corner. I don't know about that. We are going to take a guy that you can definitely count on to be a good corner. We're going to take Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati. He's the least concerns for me out of any of the corners in the draft. Doesn't have the best upside. We'll get into him with the next pick. But I think Sauce is the most safe corner, the most bust-proof of the corners. I'm just really high on Sauce, and I think another organization, kind of like Jacksonville, that just needs some stability in certain places. They have that stability in the defensive line and probably in the head coach in Rivera. I don't really like the value for quarterback here at all. So let's get more stability in that secondary where they're really topsy-turvy up and down. The Vikings, they just need a corner desperately. They're in a decent spot as a team, but they just need a corner really bad. Excuse me. So we're going to take Derek Stingley. As long as he is all good, if we get like 80% of freshman year Derek Stingley, this should be a slam dunk for the Vikings. I've seen this one mocked to them a lot. Wouldn't be surprised if it happened tonight. So I have Derek Stingley here at number 12. Number 13 for Houston. I've been thinking about this one a lot. I think Houston is really moving in the right direction, especially with, the addition of Kayvon Thibodeau in this world. So I'm going to add an offensive weapon, next to Brandon Cooks um, and Nico Collins. We're going to add our third receiver to that bunch. I don't think Chris Moore should be their third receiver. I'm going to select Chris Olave out of Ohio State to be that guy. I really like Olave. Uh, I was bouncing between him and Williams for that receiver that goes to Atlanta, but I think Jamison Williams, provides that different element that Atlanta doesn't really have. With Pitts and their guys they have, they don't have a guy like Williams. And on the flip side, I think Cooks has a lot more in common with Williams, and less in common with Olave. And it's just lucky the board worked out that way. But I'm really close with both of these guys, and I think Olave is a guy that, with the Nico Collins, Brandon Cooks, and Chris Olave is a very solid receiving core for Davis Mills to throw to. Um, so I think this is a very solid pick for the Texans, and I think that'd be a great first round for them if they could do something like that. Next we have Baltimore, and we're gonna go ahead and take Trent McDuffie out of Washington. I with McDuffie, in all honesty, he's pretty close with Sauce and Stingley for me. They all go within a pick of each other here, sandwiched between Chris Olave. Um, but I think Trent McDuffie is another very reliable corner who can get the job done. Baltimore needs another corner. We can put Humphrey in the slot, and you have, if he's healthy, Peters as your main corner, obviously, but you need that other guy. And I don't know if the Ravens have that guy currently. I think McDuffie can be that guy and bring this team back to, that best secondary in the league type defense they had that hype going into this year. And God forbid injuries happen again, but McDuffie can totally step up. I think he could learn a lot from Marcus Peters, who also went to Washington. And I really like this idea for the Ravens, and I think Trent McDuffie is an excellent pick for them. Now we go to the Eagles, a team who I think they desperately need a receiver. I clicked over there immediately. And looking here, I think Drake London is the best guy for them. I know the Eagles are probably a little gun-shy of tall receivers after the J.J. Arcega-Whiteside incident. But I just think hearing and watching, hearing what people talk about and watching Drake London, I'm not scared of that being how they use him. I don't think he's going to turn into J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I just still think they need that bigger receiver next to Devante Smith. I'm kind of giving up on Jalen Reagor, but he could be around still. And then Quez Watkins also in the slot. If you want Drake London to be a big slot, I'm going to be honest, he could do it. I think Drake London has a lot more to offer than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I think that's why a lot of people are so high on him, having him go top 10. I think the Eagles are desperate for a receiver, and I think this pick makes a lot of sense here, especially with the next two teams being decently receiver needy. But Central Michigan at pick 16, they need a left tackle now that Terron Armstead's gone. I'm surprised they let them go, but I understand it. And I'm gonna take Bernard Raymond out of Central Michigan, kind of between him and Trevor Penning here, in my opinion, on what tackle they're gonna take. You're just pick one. I don't care if you're super opposed to Bernard Raymond and super in on Trevor Penning. You can just cross him out and write in Penning's name here. I'm not super opinionated on either one. I think both of them are fairly high upside tackles that have a long way to go till they're very good starters, like the top 3 guys in the draft, in my opinion. I think Raymond's a little further along, played against slightly higher competition um, than Penning is. I think Raymond's also a little more disciplined than Penning. That's why I have him slightly higher, but it's really, grasping at straws at that point. So at number 17, I'm going to take Jordan Davis with this pick for the Chargers. They just need. If I hear one more Chargers fan, man, talk about how they would be so good if their defense wasn't bad. I just need the Chargers defense to be good so I could just see that team finally put it together, man, because they need to. They need to finally put it together because seemingly year after year they find ways to not put it together. And it's so frustrating to watch. And Jordan Davis, the addition of him in that inside next to Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa just sounds so disgusting to me. And they add J.C. Jackson, the secondary, and Derwin's back there. And oh my, I love it. So just making that defense disgusting for the Chargers, along with that unstoppable offense that I can't stop hearing about, just makes so much sense to me. Eagles back on the clock. And I think their other big need is super glaring, and that's another corner to go alongside Darius Slay. And Darius Slay's not getting any younger either. So we're going to get my next favorite corner, Andrew Booth, and we're going to send him to Philly. Andrew Booth hasn't played too much corner yet at Clemson, but when he has, he's been excellent at it. And when I see a guy do that, I tend to lean on the side of more, his potential is sky high. He's only going to be going up from here. And I'm taking that approach for sure with Booth. But from what I've seen with him, he's been pretty excellent either way. So I think Philly fills two of their biggest needs here by getting London and Andrew Booth with the back-to-back, with the 2 first-round draft picks here. And then the Saints, a team back on the board again. And I think they are pretty receiver needy. I'm all on the Jameis train. I'm a Jameis lover, you could even say here. So I'm going to grab a weapon for Jameis. We got him his new left tackle. But I want a weapon for him. So our choices here, Sky Moore, George Pickens, Treylon Burks, Jahan Dotson are the ones I see realistically going around this range. My favorite of that group, the one I think you could best put beside Michael Thomas, in my opinion, is George Pickens out of Georgia. He was not playing last year, I believe, because of an injury, so we didn't get to see that much of him. But when he was around, you could see it that George Pickens is that guy. If he's around, he's healthy, he's playing. George Pickens is a first-round receiver that can immediately help your team. Adding him alongside maybe Michael Thomas, who knows at this point if Michael Thomas is ever going to play football again. Either way, you can put him in that offense, make Callaway more effective because you put Pickens next to him and you make more respect for Callaway and who are the other guys on that receiving core? It's gonna bug me. Saints receivers. Deontay Harris, Traquan Smith. I don't know if both of those guys are still on the team or not. I know Traquan is. I don't think Harris is, but I could be wrong. Hell, Lil Jordan Humphrey. Pickens makes you respect those other guys. The respect for Pickens makes those other guys get open a lot easier. I just really like adding another receiver to the Saints group. I think Pickens is a great player. Now, Pittsburgh, I do not think any of these quarterbacks in this draft are going to be better than current Mitch Trubisky for a while. My pro comp for Sam Howell is literally Mitch Trubisky. So, unless you really, really want Kenny Pickett, which I don't, because I don't think he's better than Mitch now either. I think I'm going to go best player available here. You just re-signed Terrell Edmunds, and I don't love that re-signing, so I'm going to grab Kyle Hamilton finally off the board here to Pittsburgh, which I think would be disgusting, adding him next to Minka. That rest of that secondary isn't great, but I don't love the value here for corner right now. Maybe if you wanted to trade down to like 25, that would be fine with me, but I don't know how many suitors you'd have. But I think adding Kyle Hamilton to that secondary is, an excellent piece. I think the front seven's nasty. And the corners aren't bad by any means. They're definitely not bad. They have a ways to go before they're, some elite secondary. But I think adding Kyle Hamilton alongside Minka gets you a lot closer. Next at pick 21, the Patriots are on the clock. And this team, I have such a hard time figuring out what they need to do, because they were a really good team last year, and they came out in the playoffs, and they just got beat by the Bills. And I don't know the answer on how to solve that, and I don't know if they do either. I'm just going to grab the best playmaker I can right here. And the best playmaker to me out of the best guys available is honestly Devin Lloyd out of Utah. Putting Devin Lloyd in a Bill Belichick system just sounds disgusting to me. He's just an excellent linebacker, and I just would like to see what Bill would do with him. I feel like he'd be like a kid in a candy shop, the best linebacker in the draft. Send him to Bill Belichick, just see what happens, man. And I just think that's a great situation. So Green Bay, Brian, if you're watching this, Green Bay probably won't take a receiver, even though they need to very, very badly, and they're dumb for not taking one every year. So I'm going to take one, but Brian, I know you want to, predict the pick or whatever. There's a good chance they're going to screw it up and not. I'm taking Treylon Burks here. He's my favorite of the guys left. He's a receiver you can do a lot with. He's a lot different. He's very, very different from Davante Adams, but not entirely different in the way that you can do a lot with Burks. He's fast. He's tall. He's versatile. They did a lot with him at Arkansas. He was their focal point for a lot of the season, and I think that's why they need a bunch of receivers right now, to be honest, because they have Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb, and I don't know any other guys on that roster receiver-wise. So we just need a guy who can do a bunch for them, and I think Treylon Burks can do that. Cardinals at 23. Let's bolster that defense a bit. The Cardinals are another team in the same boat as the Patriots. I'm not really sure what the fix is for their issues. I mean, Kyler's inconsistent, but you can't move on from Kyler. You've given him a bunch of weapons, a bunch of stuff to work with. So I'm just gonna go BPA here. They need defensive help. I'm gonna take George Karlaftis out of Purdue here to go to the Cardinals. I know it doesn't say edge is one of their needs, but their edge rushers are like Markus Golden and who's their other one? Kennard, I think's his name. And then you have Watt, obviously, but Watt's not the same edge rusher he used to be. He's not even going to be there for that much longer. I think Karlaftis playing with Watt for a year or two is going to be very valuable, though. Both from Big Ten country. I don't know if their builds are necessarily, similar. They look similar, but they're not necessarily similar builds. But I think Karlaftis would learn a lot from Watt, and I think he'd probably be the best pass rusher playing for the Cardinals by default going in there. Okay, so Dallas is up next. And Dallas, they really just need. I really wish they would have gotten Randy Gregory just to help with that pass rush. But they need pass rush and they need inside help. I'm really upset that Neville Gallimore didn't pan out more in Dallas because that was a guy I was really high on. I remember back when I was scouting him. Um, but we're gonna try and right that wrong here with Devante Wyatt, the best pass rushing interior defensive lineman in this class. I think he has a potential to help two needs that Dallas has at once, and to bolster that defense because I think that offense is closer rather than further of being a Super Bowl contending unit. And the defense, I think, is a couple pieces away as well, and Devante Wyatt makes them a lot closer. So the Bills are up next, and I wouldn't be shocked at them going like a Breece Hall type here. Where the heck is corner? Is that... Oh. Breece Hall type here. It wouldn't shock me. But I'm not ready to go Breece Hall. It's way too early in my opinion. I'm going corner here. A guy next to Trey White. Is Trey White even fully healthy? I don't know. If he is, great. We still need a guy next to him. So I'm going to go with Cair Elam out of Florida. Bengals community. I'm in a lot of guys really high on Cair Elam in that community. I'm pretty high on him myself. That's why I have him going 25 here to Buffalo. And now a guy who I've had falling a bit as well in general. Not falling in terms of PFF. I am going exactly where a lot of people are projecting him. But I'm going to go Zion Johnson here at 26 to the Titans. Titans, I know it's a meme, Tannehill's the handed off to Henry quarterback. But, it's really true. If you give Henry just a dominant offensive line, you let him hit that second level, it's just unfair, man. It is ridiculous. So we're going to add a guard next to, oh my God, how am I forgetting his name, man? Taylor Lewan. We're going to put a guard next to him. Zion Johnson, who I think is the best guard in this class. He's pretty dominant. Man, it's gonna be nasty for a while. So Zion Johnson goes to Tennessee here. Derrick Henry's just ridiculous, man. It just makes me laugh how good he is. Also a bit of a power move here. You're gonna take a guard from the Bucks, who no one really likes. No one really liked them before Brady got here, and only Patriots fans really liked them, after Brady got there. And if you were an old Bucks fan, I apologize. But we're gonna take a guard as well. They lost Marpet to retirement, I believe, and they lost Alex Kappa to Cincinnati, so they need another guard. So we're going to go ahead and take Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M, just to come in and give Brady, the top 5 offensive line that he always has every single year that he plays football. And Kenyon Green's going to step in and probably be an all-pro because he's playing with Brady, and that's just how it's allowed to work. Packers again. Brian, if you're listening, again, they're not taking a receiver here probably because it's the Packers and they're dumb. But I'm taking another receiver here. I'm taking Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. The Packers need receivers really bad. Just rewind the video if you really want to hear me talk about how badly they need receivers. Just bring that back, place it here. This is also applicable to Dotson. I think Dotson is less versatile than Burks. He's a lot shorter than Burks. He's a completely different receiver. I think Dotson's closer to the player that Adams was. No one is Devante Adams in this class. I don't think anyone in the league is Devante Adams except for him. But I think Dotson, faced good competition in the Big Ten. He's impressed me from what I've seen as an Ohio State fan, and so I have Jahan Dotson here at 28. The Chiefs also need a receiver pretty badly now that Tyreek Hill is gone. We're going to go ahead and replace him with Sky Moore out of Western Michigan. I think, Sky Moore and Jahan Dotson do a lot of similar things. They're both smaller, really fast guys. Sky Moore is a little more built for sure than Jahan Dotson, but I think Moore is equipped to, go into the slot and do what Tyreek did. I think he fits into this Chiefs offense pretty well. He's not going to replace Tyreek. Obviously, he's not the athlete Tyreek was. Obviously, but I think Sky Moore can come into Kansas City and be a pretty good fit as a player there. And then the Chiefs' second pick, they pick back-to-back here. We're going to take an edge rusher because I think they just need more pass rush. They're probably a little pissed that guys like Joe Burrow and Josh Allen just had all day to throw in the playoffs. So we're going to go ahead and do Arnold Ebikete here at pick 30. I would be a little shocked if he went this late in the first round, but he's here. There's Arnold Ebikete. Chiefs fill two of their biggest needs right there, and they just hope they can get a decent piece for their secondary in that second round, so Jamar Chase doesn't give them PTSD again. But I like what the Chiefs did there with Moore and Ebikete back-to-back. Bengals, this one's such a no-brainer to me, taking Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. The offensive line of Jonah Williams, Ted Karras, Tyler Linderbaum, Alex Kappa, La'el Collins is such a nasty offensive line. I think that can immediately be top 10, maybe on a good day top 5 offensive line in the league, going from 30 to 7 realistically in one off season. Reason you lost the Super Bowl to strong point of your team. It seems like a no-brainer to me as a Bengals guy to take Tyler Linderbaum here. And then with my final pick in the first round, I'm going to take Leo Chanal out of Wisconsin. Leo's a guy that I very much enjoy watching. He's a very, very quality linebacker, big body guy. I think he's Donta Hightower. If Donta Hightower had, I don't want to call it a motor. He's definitely quicker than Donta Hightower. I'll say that. But I just think he's a piece that just adds more excitement to this Lions defense that's very weak still. But the addition of Willis to this future makes it so this offense is very close already. And if you struggle this year with Goff, you could load up on defense next year, and letting Willis grow, this would be a very exciting pick to just watch this Lions team grow because their linebackers are awful. And there's that linebacker is really one of their biggest needs. So I think that's good that they take Chanal anyways. I'm just super high on him in the first place. I think the pick makes a lot of sense to me. And that rounds out the mock draft. So, thank you all for watching. I'm sorry this has been so disjointed. A lot of ums and uhs and likes, and you knows. Not your scripted mock drafts that you're used to from me. Not your best editings. I've been reluctant to come back to YouTube. If that wasn't obvious. And we'll see how around I am. I won't be around for, the pick-by-pick analysis like I usually am. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it tonight and just have a good one. And I hope you all do the same. If you do not want to watch the horrible analysts on the television. I recommend you check out some streams, not my own. I will be checking out these other streams tonight. Bootleg Football, hosted by Brett Kollmann and EJ Snyder, is an excellent choice, as well as that franchise guy, Markus Whitman, will be hosting a live stream as well. And those live streams get my full endorsement, Most Sports Network. So, again, I apologize for taking a step away from content creation. I cannot promise I will be back anytime soon, but I love doing these mock drafts for you guys. So at the very least, here's this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. I have been Mo Sports Network, and I'm sure I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.